Okay, this is my third video, and I don't know what happened, but it just stopped in the middle of me making this video, so I'm going to start over. We don't have new notes for 7.4b, so I'm going to do some of the homework problems from 7.4a since they were all verify the identity problems and we didn't do any of those in the notes. I would encourage you not to watch this video until you've attempted the problems in 7.4a. So let's start with this one. As soon as you see that negative theta, hopefully you're thinking about the even odd properties that we went over last time. Another important key is to understand what it means for a trig function to be squared. So that's what it means for a trig function to be squared. It means tangent of negative theta times tangent of negative theta. So I need to think about that even odd property. That tangent of negative theta is equal to that based on the even odd properties. And then I still have the squared, and I still have the 1, and then the secant squared. And then if you remember the Pythagorean identities from last time, you'll know that this is in fact equal to secant squared. So we got what we wanted. This was what we wanted. We picked the more complicated side to work, and we got what we wanted. I don't want you to stop these problems until you've shown me that you got the exact thing that you were looking for. Remember last time I told you guys you can't work both sides. So we're only working one side. We're picking the more complicated side, and we are getting it to equal the other side. Okay, I'm going to jump to the last problem, 39. And then we'll maybe pick something in between. Whose phone was that? Oh, it was mine. Sorry for the shadow, by the way. It's nighttime, and all my lights come from overhead, and I can't write and talk at the same time. All my lights come from overhead, and there's no sunlight coming in because it's almost dark outside. Let me make sure I wrote that down correctly because I am distracted. Okay, I need to pick a side. I'm going to pick the more complicated side. This has two trig functions, so that looks more complicated to me. I need to keep my eye on the ball. What I mean by that is this is what I want. This is my goal. I want to hit this, right? So when I look over here, I see, well, this one has a sine squared, and this only has a cosine squared. So I think, okay, I need to change that sine squared into something involving cosine squared. Anytime I see the squared trig functions, I think Pythagorean, and I think sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Therefore, sine squared equals 1 minus cosine squared. So I'm going to replace this sine squared with 1 minus cosine squared. I still have the 3 in front that needs to be multiplied to the whole thing. And then I still have all the rest of the stuff. I'm not working the right side. I'm picking one side, and I am only working that side. So take a second and think about what I'm going to do next. I'll give you a hint. It's a D word. Okay, so I'm going to distribute the 3. And then from here, again, keep your eye on the ball. Always pay attention to what it is that you're trying to get. You're trying to get the left side to equal this. And when I look at this and I see, well, duh, I can combine those. Negative 3 plus 4, that's how many cosine squareds I have. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. So I have 1 cosine squared, it's positive, and I have a 3 in front, and that equals what I want it to. Hopefully this is making a little bit more sense than it did after the last notes. We probably should have done one of these in the last notes. I apologize for that. Let's look at, what did we do? 25 to 39. I'm just randomly picking here. How about, I kind of want you guys to do 35 because it's pretty similar to what we just did. Let's do 31. There's a lot of Pythagorean stuff in this homework. Anytime you see these squared terms, you should be thinking about the Pythagorean identities. Let me make sure I copied that down right. Okay, good. It's not going to be 100% of the time, but it's going to be like 99% of the time. When you see a squared term, you're going to end up using a Pythagorean identity. And if you know your identities well, then this problem is actually super easy. This is why it's imperative that you memorize those identities. I need you guys to make flashcards or find online flashcards and practice with them. Excuse me, you're only required to know the identities that I gave you last time. So 1 plus tangent squared, hopefully you know, or you're getting close to knowing that that is equal to secant squared. And then I have the cosine squared in front. I am only working the more complicated side. Most of the time the problems are set up so that the left side is the more complicated side, but the way that we choose is we're focusing on the more complicated side. Now, from here, I'm going to show a step that some of you may not show, and I'm okay with that. Secant squared is 1 over cosine squared. Some of you might not need to show that, and that's fine. And then this would end up canceling out, right? Anything divided by itself. So I'm left with 1 over 1. And I'm going to reiterate what I said in the first problem. I want you to write, keep going until you have the exact same thing on both sides of the equal sign. I don't want you to stop there. Now this one is obvious that that's equal to 1, but sometimes it's not, and people assume that I'm going to know what's going on in their head. I'm not going to assume I know what's going on in your head, so you have to show me. And you have to do the smiley face. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do the smiley face. But maybe do the smiley face to make me smile when you turn in your homework. Okay, so I'm going to post this, this assignment. Let me look and see what I had. Let me look at my plan. This assignment actually isn't going to be due till Wednesday because I'm giving you guys Monday to kind of get back in the loop of things. I'm going to post this. It's Friday now. I'm going to post this because I don't feel like the notes I already posted were sufficient. So I'm going to post this early. The assignment that goes along with this is not due till Wednesday. And then Wednesday we will have a video call to answer questions about any homework problems, but also just what's going on. I would love to check in with you guys and hear how things are going for you, etc., etc. So I will talk to you guys Wednesday.